My name is Stephen Callahan. I'm an American sailor, and a man who spent his life fixing and designing boats. I wasn't a tourist chasing a pretty dream. The sea was my profession and my habit. In the early 80s, I decided to cross the Atlantic alone on a small sailboat, about 21 feet long. A small hull, one man, an ocean stretching for thousands of miles, and in that was a strange kind of freedom. No one out there but the wind and your own decisions. The first days went smoothly. The sail pulled, the boat cut through the swells, and at night the stars hung so low it felt like you could snag them with the mast. I ate on a schedule, checked the rigging, listened to the hull working against the water. I knew the ocean can change its face in minutes, but in stretches like that you still start believing you're in control, simply because, so far, you are. The impact came at night, not a romantic storm scene, just a short, blunt hit from below, like something slammed the boat with a giant hammer. I jolted awake, lunged for the hatch, and immediately heard something worse. Water. It was coming in too fast. This wasn't a leak you could stuff with rags or hold back with a pump. It felt like the ocean had found a direct doorway into my home. I switched on the pump, grabbed a flashlight, tried to figure out what we'd hit, a container, a log, anything. But the seconds kept slipping away and the water kept rising. And then something inside me clicked. The boat was lost. The only thing left was to save myself, and whatever could keep me alive for the days ahead. I dragged out the emergency inflatable raft, pulled the pin, and waited for it to open and hold its shape. In the last moments, I threw in whatever I could. Water, a little food, a knife, signal gear, a couple tools. Then the hull tilted hard. There was no point arguing with it. I stepped into the raft. Behind me, my sailboat was quietly dying. In front of me was a piece of rubber the size of a bed, and all around it, the Atlantic. In that second, I understood the main thing. Nobody knew where I was. If rescue came at all, it might not come tomorrow, which meant my real fight was starting right now. After my sailboat disappeared, the ocean didn't get quieter or kinder. It just kept doing what it always does, lifting me up and dropping me down on the swell, like it was testing how much stubbornness I still had left. On a raft, there's no cabin, no walls, nowhere to hide. There's only a thin skin between you and the water, and you feel that truth in your body every second. That first night, I barely slept. I sat with my back pressed against the soft tube, listening for anything new. Every slap of a wave sounded like something big and unseen moving closer. I kept waiting for a second hit, like the ocean would come back to finish the job. But it didn't. It just left me alone, and somehow that felt worse than any noise. Morning brought the coldest thought of all: resources. I laid out everything I'd managed to save and started counting. Water was life. Everything else was secondary. Food could wait. Strength couldn't. I caught myself wanting to take a big drink just to calm down, and I stopped. Big swallows were a luxury I didn't have anymore. So I made a rule. I don't drink when I want to. I drink when I can. Small sips, on a schedule. I tried to keep my mind like an engineer's. If I could turn survival into a problem, it would stop being pure panic. If I moved step by step, day by day, I might last long enough for someone to actually see me. I stared at the horizon for hours, and it was humiliating. Nothing but the line where water met sky. Sometimes I thought I saw a mast or smoke, something out there. I'd stand up, strain my eyes, wave whatever I could, and it would turn out to be a trick of light. The ocean can show you hope and take it back in the same breath. The sun burned my skin during the day, and at night the cold squeezed the warmth out of me. Salt stung every crack in my hands. And I started to understand something. The first days weren't a fight against hunger or sharks. The first days were a fight against my own mind, the voice that kept whispering, "No one is going to find you." That's when I made my second rule. I don't get to think the end. I only get to think the next step, the next sip, the next night, the next sunrise. Because as long as the sun keeps coming up, the story isn't over yet. After a few days, I understood something brutal. Water wasn't just the main resource. It was the only resource that decided everything else. The Atlantic around me was salt from horizon to horizon. I could stare at it for hours and still not take a single safe sip. That meant I had to do what I'd always done best: build a system. In my survival gear, I had solar stills, Simple, clear bags that turn seawater into a little fresh water by heat and condensation. It sounds ridiculous until you realize what a drop is worth. I laid them out, watched the sun, adjusted them, protected them, because losing even a few ounces meant losing time. Day after day, those stills would warm, sweat, cool, and whenever I collected even a small amount of drinkable water, it didn't feel nice. It felt like buying myself another day. At the same time, I forced myself to think about food, not for comfort, for strength. If I didn't keep my body running, my hands would stop working and my mind would go soft. Fishing wasn't about a rod and a clean cast. It was a hand line and hooks, primitive, direct, all in your fingers. Drop it, wait, feel. Sometimes nothing for hours. Sometimes a sharp tug, and your heart jumps because you know it isn't dinner you're pulling in. It's energy for tomorrow. I learned to respect every small thing. The sun burned my skin raw. Salt cracked my lips and stung every cut on my hands. Any tiny scrape became a problem because everything stayed wet and salty and slow to heal. My life shrank into a handful of actions. Collect water, get food, keep the raft intact, keep myself intact. The hardest part didn't hit in the first days. It came later, when my body accepted the rules. You wake up and there's no news. Nothing changes. The light shifts, the wind shifts, but the distance stays infinite. That kind of sameness presses on you harder than fear. So I built a routine, because without one, a day turns into a gray blur. I did the same circle over and over. Check the raft, find what's breaking, fix what I can, set the solar stills, ration what I have, try to catch fish, dry what's possible, protect the water I've earned. Some days the ocean gave me food, some days it took my strength. If you catch something, you stay sharper. If you don't catch anything for days, you're fighting not the waves but the slow panic of a body running empty. And in those moments, the goal isn't motivation. The goal is not to do something stupid, not to drink extra, not to burn energy in useless movement, not to make decisions on emotion. Your mind starts acting strange when you're alone that long. You talk to yourself. You argue with the ocean. You cling to order because order is the last thing you can control. And every day you prove one simple sentence: I'm still here, so I keep going. Near the end, I stopped living in days. I lived in small segments. Survive the heat, survive the night, collect enough water to stay conscious. My body got lighter, weaker, drier. Everything on the raft tasted like salt. The raft itself aged, and I watched it constantly, because a small problem out there can become the end fast. Then the world around me started to shift. Birds, bits of seaweed, the sense that the air and the water were different. It wasn't a guarantee, but it was direction. And direction is dangerous because it wakes up hope, and hope can make you spend your last strength too early. So I kept myself disciplined and kept doing what I'd done the whole time. Ration, collect, fish, repair, endure. And then, instead of an empty horizon, there were people. Not a promise, not a mirage. A real boat and real voices. Fishermen pulled alongside and hauled me up. In that moment, I realized how much I'd changed. Even simple movements felt heavy. My voice sounded far away, and the first real drink of water felt almost unreal to a body that had been living on measured sips. Later, I put it into plain words. The ocean didn't spare me. It just didn't break me in time. I wasn't saved by one heroic scene. I was saved by hundreds of small decisions. Don't waste what you have, don't quit at night, don't lose today.